engine's offline, and I recommend they stay that way. The solar collectors can power the time circuits.
Can the solar collectors alone power the time circuits all the way home?
Probably. It'll take a good while to charge, though. Anyways, it'll take some time before we're ready to see if the time circuits have any life left in them. Why don't you have a look around where I brought us?
Which is, where exactly? Good work, Sarah. Kings, queens, jacks, and tens. All I can say is, here we go again. So let me ask you this question. What happens when you take a Las Vegas-style casino game and then try to turn it into a game show? What will it end up looking like?
And now, a game of high stakes, where every decision is a gamble and every move could be your last. High roller!
Actually, that's a better answer than what I had in mind. Maybe I should review that one. But no. I'm actually talking about this show here, so let's take a closer look, shall we?
In the not-so-distant future, a time-traveling experiment known as the Tempest program was undergoing their first live trial. This did not go according to plan. Unknown to anyone, an extra-dimensional force, known by the call sign of Orion 3, seized control of the test aircraft, hurling plane and pilot off course and around time. Their mission, the complete destruction of Tempest One. Now, faced with incredible odds against him, the game show reviewer ducks in and out of time, still managing to review his favorite game shows while staying one step ahead of the evil forces, and all the while still hoping that his next leap will be the leap home.
Older game shows may seem kind of lame, but when the reviewer's on set, it's a whole new ball game. It's Card Shark! With your host, Game Show Reviewer. Thank you. And howdy y'all, I'm your Game Show Reviewer, reviewing the game show greats and the occasional dud. And welcome to the set of Card Sharks. Never heard of this show before? Well, that's why I'm here, so let's get started. First thing you might notice is this brief poem read off before each episode. This actually changed episode to episode and is usually submitted by a viewer.
Jim Perry is handsome and really quite mannish. But why can't we see more of Lois and Janice? Kings and queens, deuces and aces. Those are the cards that will get you places.
Jim Perry, our host for this show, would acknowledge whoever submitted the intro poem before starting the game proper. There's a little bit more to mention with this intro sequence, but that's more properly filed under history, so I'll get to that in a second. The show is divided up into two main portions of gameplay, the front game and, of course, the bonus game. The front game was played out here and, of course, with those cards over there. Now, the questions on the front game were actually surveys of 100 people, just like on Family Feud. But don't be deceived, because this is where all similarity ends, and I think I'll go ahead and let Sarah explain that one.
Captain?
Sarah?
Down here, sir.
What's going on? That was your cue.
Captain, with the plane's power as low as it is, I don't want a chance using the holo imager. At least not yet. That, and someone has to stay here and monitor these systems to make sure that they don't just explode. However, it's your decision, sir. I can either review Card Sharks with you, or I can stay here and fix the plane.
Alright, well, I guess the plane is more important, but keep me posted, okay?
Will do, sir. Tempest One over and out.
Alright, looks like I'm on my own for this one. Anyways, the front game. Okay, after the intro sequence, we're introduced to the players, one usually a returning champion, and the other a new challenger. Something similar to Jeopardy, actually. The main game is played in two parts, one part being the aforementioned survey questions, and the other being the card game. Like I said earlier, these survey questions were taken of 100 people. But, unlike the Family Feud questions, the 100 people surveyed were usually of a specific group, such as 100 married men, or 100 prison inmates, or possibly even 100 pilots.
Patrice, we surveyed 100 prison inmates. These are all men who are currently serving time in San Quentin Prison. Patty, we asked 100 married women who own a cat. So we asked 100 married men in one of our studio audiences.
The player who had gotten the question right previously was the first asked to give an exact number of people who answered one way or another. Then the other player would be asked whether they thought that number would be higher or lower. Whoever was correct had to turn up the cards. And these are the cards we've heard so much about. This game basically amounts to a higher or lower guessing game. Players would be dealt out 5 cards each, unless we're in a sudden death match, in which case they were dealt out 3 only. Whoever got the survey question right would then have their first guess at the cards, starting from the base card of... 7. Go figure. Well, luckily, the players had the option of changing their base card or whatever card they were starting with. So with a 7, I'm going to go ahead and change that to 6. Yeah. This was the risk you ran whenever you changed your card. You always ran the risk of getting something worse. From that base card, the guessing could begin. As implied, the contestants simply had to guess whether the next card was higher or lower than the previous card. After each guess, assuming the player was correct, they had the option of continuing forward with the guessing or freezing if an unfavorable card was shown. Alright, so let's take this for instance. I've got a queen showing, so I'm going to guess lower. Queen. Okay, very quickly. 2 cards of the same kind, they tie, okay? And in this case, there's no push situation, so this is an automatic loss. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. And let's try that again. Next up, we have... Damn. Okay, this show actually didn't give you any kind of higher or lower option with an ace. This is automatically higher than a king, so this is also a loss. Pretend that didn't happen. And let's try this again. Next card we have is... Okay, is this rigged? In an ideal situation, the contestant playing the cards wants to either freeze out of them or win the round, preferably the latter. Losing a turn here turns over control to the other player, giving them a shot at their cards. Best out of 3 matches wins. If each player should win 1 match, the third is a sudden death round. It's completely identical to the other 2 rounds, except that each player only has 3 cards to guess through instead of 5. The winner of this best of 3 standoff would go on to the bonus round. Because any game show worth watching has a bonus round. This one's is called the money cards. Now, the game is played the same as before, but with some slight differences, and I'll explain as I go. Players start off the round with $200. There is no freezing here. This is all or nothing. For the first 6 cards, the players must bet a minimum of $50 per guess. Should the cards manage to screw them over before they actually get to the next line, that's actually okay. When the next line is started, the player is actually funded with an additional $200, so gameplay can continue. From this point forward, however, if the player goes bust, it's all over. Just like in the main game, only the base card can be changed, and it can only be changed once. The final bet, or the big bet as it's called here, was the 7th card. Players must risk at least half of what they've accumulated up to that point on that one card. Alright, well I didn't really want to introduce him this way, but I'm doing this on my own, so meet my alter ego, DJ Dylan. Thank you, and howdy y'all, my name is DJ Dylan, and welcome to the Money Cards round of Card Sharks. We have our contestant game show reviewer all set up and ready to go. So, Captain, if I may call you Captain, are you ready to play? Only if you're ready to host. I'm always ready to host, you jackass. All right, so we've got our cards all set up here. So let's just go ahead and get to it. And your first card is a 10. Ooh, 10. Okay. 100 lower. $100 lower than a 10, and we got a 9. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, another 100 lower. From a 9, we move to an 8. Okay, $50 lower. From an 8, $50 minimum, we have... Oh, another 8. So you lose $50 on that. Luckily, it wasn't that bad. We'll move that to the next line and grant an additional $200. What's your pleasure? Change that card. Very well, Captain. That 8 becomes a 2. Yes, all of it. Higher. Risking it all. Higher than a 2. And we have an ace. Spectacular. All of it lower. For $2,200, is it lower than an ace? Yes, it's a 2. All right. All of it higher. Once again, betting it all on a 2. And we have an ace. Absolutely beautiful. We'll move that up to the big bet up there. And that will become your new baseline card. Remember here, you must risk at least half of what you have, you have to bet a minimum of $2,200. What is your pleasure, game show reviewer? $2,200? Screw that! All of it lower! This is a do or die situation, Captain. I thought I'd just let you know that. From an ace we find... Oh, another ace! Oh, I am so sorry, Captain, but thank you for playing nonetheless. DJ, you're fired. Oh, come on. You weren't even going to get the money even if you did win. By the way, I didn't throw that sound effect in there just for fun. The famous Price is Right losing horns were actually used on this game, too. Well, win or lose, the contestant who played this round would be returned to the main set as the returning champion. So that's pretty much how you play this game, so let's move on to the history. At least I can't lose there. Episode 101 of the first incarnation of Card Sharks was on April 24th, 1978. Announcing the show was Gene Wood, while hosting was Jim Perry. Remember when I said we had more to talk about in that intro? Well, let's take a look at that again.
Aces are nice.
That's a fairly unique intro, what with the lights alternating like that and the four corners of the screen being used like 4 different monitors. And it was just as unique as when it was first used on Double Dare as well.
It's Family Double Dare.
No, wrong Double Dare. The Double Dare I'm talking about aired for about 4 months in 1976, hosted by Jeopardy legend-to-be Alex Trebek.
Take a risk.
Not only is the intro extremely similar, but the music was actually lifted from this show. It may sound a little different, but that is in fact the future Card Sharks theme. Luckily, Card Sharks lasted significantly longer than the show its main theme was recycled from, ending its 3.5-year run on October 23rd, 1981. However, as we've seen before with shows like Supermarket Sweep and Pyramid, you just can't keep a good game show down. On January 6, 1986, Bob Eubanks was called in to host a revived Card Sharks.
From Television City in Hollywood, it's Card Sharks. Here's the...
This version of Card Sharks was an almost perfect relaunch, staying very, very true to its source material. There were actually 2 shows running concurrently, one being the daytime show hosted by Bob Eubanks, and the other being a nighttime syndicated show hosted by Bill Rafferty. Both shows were identical, so I'll focus more on the Bob Eubanks show, actually. The front game was played exactly the same as before, the only difference being in the survey questions. They still had the surveys of 100, of course, but occasionally they would throw in a survey of 10 audience members. So for once we finally get to see who was surveyed. And Bob Eubanks usually had some fun at their expense.
Now, I want to know which 3 of you ladies have had to hire a handyman to repair your husband's handiwork. Hold up your hand, would you please? Carol, I'll bet you that your husband probably is very unmechanical and probably has an occupation that has nothing to do with mechanics. What does he do?
He's an engineer for a water company.
What did he have to fix?
He fixed our washing machine and it flooded.
And he's an engineer for a water company.
Right!
Let's move on over to the money cards because there were some much bigger changes over there. Actually, I don't think changes is the right word, more like additions. First off, the second line of the money cards now features a $400 addition to the player's money instead of a mere $200. Second, players could change out any cards they so wished using 3 predetermined cards on the side of the board. The catch is, again, any card that's changed must be played, and this could only be done 3 times. Third, if the player drew the exact card that was displayed and there was a push situation, as happened to me earlier, there was no win or loss of cash. Hey, wait a minute, where the hell was that rule a few minutes ago? About that car in the background there. In this new version, there were jokers shuffled into the deck. Players were also given a single joker at the beginning of the game. After the money cards round was played, contestants would be shown a row of 7 cards. These aren't playing cards, however. Printed on the back of one of these cards is the word car, while the others had no printed on them. The jokers uncovered in the money cards round determined how many guesses they got at these cards. In my opinion, these changes only enhanced an already well-liked game show, made the stakes higher, and made it more fun to watch. The syndicated show was the first to go, ending a 10-month run on June 7th, 1987. The daytime show lasted about as long as its predecessor, running until March 31st, 1989. So, now we know that this formula for the show works, and we've all seen what happens when a perfect game show formula is messed with. Unfortunately, some people never learn.
If one of these people plays their cards right, they could win over $50,000. It's time for the all-new Card Sharks. And now...
Another Turn of the Millennium remake. Oh man, I don't even know where to start here. Well, episode 101 of this epic fail of a game show was on September 17th, 2001. Hosting was Pat Bullard and announcing was Gary Kroger.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, God, people love me, don't they?
To give you an idea on how changed this show was, I actually have to start over on my explanation for the main game. The two players here were playing a single line of 7 cards, and as usual, they were trying to predict a higher or lower card. There were no survey questions here. In fact, there were no questions at all. It was simply just playing the cards. Players had the option of changing the card. Oh, wait, they didn't. Instead, they have these oversized poker chips called clip chips. If an unfavorable card showed up, they had the option of using one of them. A video would be shown for the contestant, and they would have to figure out how it ended. As much as I hate subjecting you to this show, this one you have to see.
We send our hidden cameras to this casino where our tired valet is at the end of a long work day.
I've been working a double shift all day. My back is like killing me. Will you crack my back?
All right, Alma.
I'm gonna say no because...
Let's take a look. Alma says no.
I haven't had someone come by.
do that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Alma! She did it. Alma, you gotta play that 6.
If they got that question right, the card was changed. If not, they were forced to play the card. It was still a best-of-3 match, and the winner would move on to the money cards round that... Oh, wait, forgot something. The winner of this round would go backstage for a few minutes while 2 new players were brought out and played a best-of-3 match. The 2 winners of these matches were then brought out for one final match called The Big Deal. Har har on the pun. Any clip chips they had remaining were all that could be used in this round. Finally, the winner of this round went on to their money cards round. Luckily, this round isn't as screwed up as the front game. On each line there, contestants would be given a $700 base or addition to what they could bet with, and as usual, the final card must be played with at least half of what the player had. Only the base card could be changed here, and the player could only change out a base card once. Honestly, this round is the closest to the original Card Sharks that this show got.
$9,150 says the next card is higher. Let's take a look, Tammy. Yeah! $27,450, ladies.
You know, with as much as they changed this show, I wouldn't be surprised if they awarded you with Monopoly money. Thankfully, no, mercifully, this show only lasted for 3 months before getting canned on December 14th, 2001. Now here's something I've decided to do. With as many shows as I'm running into that I completely loathe, I'm going to start up this official list called the Game Show Fails. Okay, let's start off in order. Number 3, The New Price is Right from 1994. If you want my detailed reasons, go watch my previous episode, it's all in there. Number 2, Pyramid 02 from 2002. With an impossible to win tournament structure and too many tweaks to the rules, this is the show I honestly thought would stay number 1. But I've been proved wrong. And number 1, Card Sharks from 2001. At least Pyramid 02 and The New Price is Right kept most of the original gameplay intact. This show feels like a brand new game show with the Card Sharks title slapped on there. And let's hope I never have to add to this list again. So with all that done and done, what's my final take on Card Sharks? Well, in my opinion, this was truly a great show. The first 2 incarnations did something unique and original, using a card game as their basis, something I don't think any game show had done up until that point. And while Family Feud started 2 years earlier using the survey questions, this show put its own unique spin on it and made it their own. The Bob Eubanks, Bill Rafferty era was the perfect example of how a game show can be updated for modern day audiences, making sure to stay true to your source material, but adding your own flares, such as the jokers and the money cards around for the car. And if the 1986 shows were a perfect revisit, the 2001 version was the polar opposite. It only barely resembled the original Card Sharks, changed too many rules, and just felt too gimmicky, the clip trip around being a perfect example. My final thoughts? Well, bring Card Sharks back to television, but please use this show as your template, not this one. Well, that was fun, but time to wrap it all up. Hope you all enjoyed it and maybe learned something too. I'm your game show reviewer, reviewing the game show greats and the occasional dud. I'll see you next time.
Of course, if this doesn't work, there won't be much of a next time.
Not the best time to mention that, Sarah.
Sorry, sir. Stand by to leap.
Well, the time circuits still work. Let's only go a few years, Sarah, and find me a good game show to sit down at.
Aye, sir. This one should do nicely. Stand by, sir. I don't know how rough this re-entry will be.
Let's do it.
And I think we could call that a successful test.
Beautiful work, Sarah. How long to recharge the time circuits?
Depends on how far you want to leap. I would say we could have 10 to 15 years worth of power in about 5 hours. Meanwhile, I think you'll enjoy my game show pick.
Which is where exactly?
Meet me inside, sir. I think this is one you have to see for yourself. And may I present to you... Wait, sir, stop!
I have read both your and Orion's reports, Commander, and I do have to say I'm not pleased.
Admiral, if you would just let me explain...
Silence! You've attempted to capture Tempest One when your orders were quite clear, to destroy her. Just remember this, the sooner you finish your mission, the sooner I will reconsider your promotion. Am I understood?
Yes, Admiral Cassius.
Good. Now explain to me why you're on this game show stage.
Oh, this ain't good. They're out there, we can't let them know we're in here.
If we return to the plane, I can try to leap to another time.
Oh, wait a minute. This could be a golden opportunity. A chance to figure out their strategies, their tactics, something to give us an edge on them, you know what I mean?
There's one thing that's bothering me about this, sir. Why are they on this game show set? Do not concern yourself, Admiral. By the end of the day, I will have the means to destroy that infernal airplane once and for all. They usually show up within the vicinity of a game show studio, and no decent game show reviewer can pass this one up. Not even me. Wait a minute, she's a game show reviewer?
It's never easy. Here we go again.